Well, everybody, welcome to the first episode of this wrestling podcast here on the It Was a Thing on TV Podbean feed with myself, Greg Dieter, along with Dane, because we had such good feedback to the first thing we did regarding everything that happened on Presents with the Wrestling. Actually, no, we didn't get any feedback, but we had so much fun, we decided, let's make this a regular feature.
Yeah, I had fun doing that one too. So let's keep going until
We get tired or whatever.
Get tired or bored or it's just, yeah.
Well, Dane, I want to go through some names because as we always like to do on It Was a Thing on TV, I like to go to Chat GPT for some crazy ideas or Let's Enhance.io. Here are some names for this podcast I want to suggest for you, okay? According to Chat GPT. Suplexed in Time, Squared Circle Chronicles, Pile Driver Playback, The Kayfabe Files, Body Slam Backstory, Shoot to the Past, When Wrestling Was Real, Wrestling Time Machine, The Squared Circle Time Capsule. Which name do you think was the best?
Oh, I really like the Suplexed in Time one, and also kind of like the Square Circle Time Machine as well too, since we'll be probably talking a lot about past events and past cards and stuff like that.
It was Squared Circle Time Capsule, but I like that Squared Circle Time Machine. So take that, Chat GPT. Well, with the Royal Rumble coming up at the time we're recording this, it is 2 days away at the time we're recording this?
Yeah, 2 days.
Annapolis, Indiana, at Lucas Oil Stadium, the house that Peyton built. So we decided, let's talk about the first 5 Royal Rumbles, because really, those are like the only 5 that really matter to most people.
Yeah. Or so the last one will get there, I guess.
Yeah. Well, these were the ones before they instituted the winner of the Rumble gets the title match.
Yeah.
So most of these Rumbles, 4 out of the 5 Rumbles were for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the 5th Rumble was for the WWF title. But like a lot of these early wrestling pay-per-views, it was all started because of one promotion trying to F the other promotion. And in this case, the WWF saw that Jim Crockett Promotions was promoting a pay-per-view called the Bunkhouse Stampede, which was held in my neck of the woods out at the Nassau Coliseum, which really shows you some great thinking by Jim Crockett Promotions. Let's have something called the Bunkhouse Stampede and have it in Long Island.
Yes, that's quite the stretch for all those crazy bunkhouse people that live out in the Long Island area.
If they really wanted to have a Bunkhouse Stampede, they should have held it out in the backwoods in Suffolk County. I know a lot of places where they could have held it at. But the WWF decided to hold a special on USA Network opposite the Bunkhouse Stampede pay-per-view. Yes, this was not a pay-per-view. This was originally a special.
And it was special, all right.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the Royal Rumble concept. Now, the concept came from legendary wrestler, the first Intercontinental Champion, Pat Patterson, who had a wacky idea. Let's take this Battle Royal concept, but let's have it start with 2 men. And then like every 2 minutes, we have another person come in, then another person come in, then another person come in, until we get everybody in. And then whoever's left standing is the winner.
Yeah. Of course, the first year it was only 20, and then they upped it to 30 the next year. So that's kind of the slight difference there too, because most battle royals at the time were usually 20 men at the most that were you saw on TV. I think you would get your odd 40 men and whatever, but most of them were usually 20 men, I believe.
Yeah. Well, this one needed a hook to get people into watching this Rumble on USA Network. So what the big hook was not the Rumble match itself, but it was the contract signing for the rematch between Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant on the main event.
Yes. It was interesting getting to see Hogan and Andre sitting at probably the smallest table compared to 6'9" Hogan and 7'4" Andre. It just kind of reminded me of like this table I used to have with my daughter and how we would do our stuff there. I would be sitting there like just my humongous self, and then there she is. Like I said, that whole thing just reminded me of that little table there.
It looked like they got that table from like some kind of like elementary school, and they just borrowed the table. Because you see Andre sitting there, and it's like he looks ridiculous sitting.
Yeah, and his suit there too. Like I just kept thinking back to like Tommy Boy there, like fat man in a little coat. Suit wearing Andre was kind of a weird thing, period for Andre there, but as the lackey of the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, and manservant Virgil.
You know what? I wonder if there was any Olive Garden in Hamilton, Ontario. I wonder if, could you imagine if Virgil, Andre, and Ted all went to Olive Garden after the show?
They would have torn the house apart between, I think Andre would have drank all the whatever they had there for the spirits, and Virgil would have just had all his unlimited breadsticks. Just be.
And Ted would have been counting his money laughing.
Yeah.
But let's get into the card here. So we have 4 matches on this show. The first match we have is Ricky Steamboat against Ravishing Rick Rude. And it was Ricky Steamboat winning by DQ in 17:39.
Yes, it was. With about 5 or 6 minutes of it devoted to some obnoxious fan who had like a megaphone somewhere at ringside and was just kept shouting things and being a basic nuisance. I think even like Vince and Jesse kind of called it out on commentary too. So it was like, I think that person was pretty much dealt with afterwards because I didn't hear a peep afterwards.
Yeah, they must have confiscated the megaphone after the match.
Yeah.
And the next match we have was for the WWF Women's Tag Team Championship. So we had the Jumping Bomb Angels against the Glamour Girls of Judy Morton and Leilani Kai.
Yes. As I think OSW Review described her as Terminator Judy Martin, because good Lord, did she not? She was pretty stiff working with those Jumping Bomb Angels.
And Leilani Kai, I think, obviously we know she was at WrestleMania 1. And so this was a 2 out of 3 falls match. This period of time between these two teams is like, I can't believe like they made like women's tag team wrestling like a big deal at this time.
Yeah, like I think there again, it was just something that was a lot bigger in Japan, but just seeing like the Jumping Bomb Angels there, just or as Vince like called them, the pink one and the blue one. Because I don't know which one is which. I hired them, but
I can't pronounce Japanese names, pal.
Jesse kind of giving him shit there too, like you don't know which one is which, Vince.
We had the Jumping Bomb Angels winning the WWF Women's Tag Team Championship. And I'm going to go on Wikipedia here. So this is the original version of the titles. Okay. Princess Victoria and Velvet McIntyre first won the belts in May of 83.
Wow.
And then Desiree Peterson and Velvet McIntyre won them on December 7th, 1984 in Pittsburgh. And then we had a phantom title change with the Glamour Girls winning in Cairo, Egypt.
And we thought Rio de Janeiro for the Intercontinental Championship tournament was weird.
Look, there were 16 men in that tournament, Dane. And we all know Pat Patterson was the one that came out on top that night.
Oh, yes, he did.
In more ways than one.
Yes.
And then we had the Jumping Bomb Angels here winning it officially, they had the Glamour Girls on 906-day title reign. And then the Glamour Girls won the titles back on a house show in Japan on June 8th of 88 by countout. So I guess it's some weird Japanese rules.
Yeah.
Where the title changes hands by countout.
Yeah.
And then it was deactivated in February of 89. So the current WWE Women's Tag Team Championship does not carry the lineage of this title.
Yeah. It wasn't like merged with some other title in Japan. Like, I remember the old WWF light heavyweight title got somehow merged into the J Cup or something like that.
Oh, yeah, I do remember that because I remember Ultimo Dragon with that belt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm surprised that they didn't just, like I said, get merged with some other organization in Japan or whatever, and instant feel like paying the deposit back to get them back, and they just that'd be something interesting to see if they can find them like on that Hidden Treasure show.
Oh yeah, that would be awesome if they were on Hidden Treasures. But actually, one thing I should mention, last year, because there's this big like wrestling autograph show out here out in Brentwood at the Suffolk County Community College called the Big Event New York. I went there and I got Itsuki Yamazaki of the Jumping Bomb Angels autograph on an old WWF book that I've had since I was 10 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was happy to get that. So I have like a bunch of people in that book. I got Bam Bam to sign that when I was like 11. I got Greg Valentine on it. I got Brooklyn Brawler. I got Harvey Whippleman. I got Tatanka. I got a bunch of people in that book. But now let's get into the Rumble match.
Yes.
The first ever Royal Rumble match. So, all right. So it's 20 people in the match. So the first two to start off, and what a great way to start out.
Yeah.
Bret Hart and Tito Santana.
Arriba.
And of course, Tito of the current tag team champions at the time in Strikeforce, and Bret Hart, of course, of the previous reigning tag team champions.
Yeah. With the blue and black singlet. I believe he still had that on.
I think it was pink. I'm not sure. I got to rewatch that match, but I think he's wearing pink and black.
Yeah.
But I'll go through 3 through 20. So number 3, we had Butch Reed, the Natural.
Yeah.
Number 4 was Neidhart. Number 5 was Jake Roberts. He got a big ovation, like the first big ovation for someone coming out in the Rumble.
Yeah.
Super over at this time. Number 6, Harley Race. Number 7, Jumping Jim Brunzell. Number 8 is Sam Houston. Number 9, we got Danny Davis. Number 10, Boris Zukov. Number 11, The Rock Don Morocco. Number 12, Nikolai Volkov. Number 13, Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Number 14, Ron Bass. Number 15, B. Brian Blair. It's a good thing Shiki wasn't with the company, or else he probably would have humbled him. Number 16, Hillbilly Jim. Number 17, Dino Bravo. Oh, I forgot to mention.
Talk about Dino Bravo and the bench press record.
He was going for the bench press record. So it was like this overlong 20-minute segment to kill time, and like Jesse was spotting the weight for him, and he might have, I think he illegally helped Dino get that world bench press record.
I think that was the payoff for that whole 20-minute segment. Might have been some shenanigans from Jesse helping Dino Bravo, and French Morton just being French.
Of course.
Yeah.
Number 18, Ultimate Warrior. Number 19, OMG, the One Man Gang. And then number 20 is JYD. So we have Jim Duggan winning this, eliminating One Man Gang to win the first ever Rumble. And if I'm going to go by eliminations, Duggan had 3 eliminations. Don Morocco had 3 eliminations. One Man Gang had the most with 5. And the Iron Man of this Rumble was Bret, who went 25 minutes and 42 seconds. Jake, 21 minutes and 52 seconds.
Yeah.
So, yes, that is the first ever Rumble. And if you can believe it, that was technically not the main event of this show. You know what the main event was?
No, it wasn't. It was
the Islanders and the Young Stallions in a 2 out of 3 falls match.
Yes, and then another time stalling event happened where I forget if it was Roma or was it Jim Powers who they did the kind of injury angle to kind of end the first fall. And then we had all the post contract signing interviews then with Hogan and then Andre, and then we went straight back to, they were thinking maybe this match isn't going to go on. Oh, no, wait, it's going to go on. And then the Islanders just pretty much decimated them.
That was weird how, all right, the first fall ends, and now here's an interview. Now here's another interview. And now here's the second fall. Now here's another interview. And then here's Jesse and Vince talking to stall for time. And up, show's over.
Yeah. The only good thing out of the Islanders thing was it reminded me, because I think they were talking there about them kidnapping Matilda from the British Bulldogs. So
would the dog napping thing have just happened?
Yeah, because I think Vince was like wondering, God bless babyface Vince, the commentator, because he was like pure and innocent. Like even like during the Rude and Seabold match, I think Jesse said something, well, yeah, just poke him in the eye. And then Vince was like, well, no, we can't. We got a lot of young viewers there, Jesse. We can't be encouraging that.
I think there's also, hold on a second, if I can find Scott's review of the 88 Rumble real quick. Because there's one line I think Jesse supposedly says that's an inside dig at Vince here. Maybe it's the next Rumble. No, it's not in here. Mm-hmm. Okay, I thought it was in this review from Scott, but okay, we'll go into 89's. So that's the 88 Rumble. Yep. So our next Rumble takes place from, we didn't even mention the 88 Rumble took place at the Cops Coliseum in Hamilton,
Ontario.
Is there anything special about the Cops Coliseum you want to mention, Dane?
The only thing I can mention about it, that the Cops Coliseum was also held actually another WWF pay-per-view, and that was, I believe, WWF Breakdown during the Attitude Era, which I think that one had Christian winning the light heavyweight title off Taka Michinoku, and also I think that was the beginning of also the night that Vince stole the title back from Austin during Austin's match against Taker and Kane, where he had "You don't have it anymore, Austin. It's mine." Plus, I think that was also the return of Goldust as well too. Like after Dustin Rhodes did the whole Goldust is dead, and then he was doing the whole eat me thing there. That was the dig at.
And Val was messing at Dustin, saying, "I have come."
Yes. He has come. Yes. And then snagged his ex-wife Terry at that time too. So.
Oh, jeez.
But yeah.
Okay, so the next year, the Royal Rumble was held at the Summit in Houston, Texas. Do you want to know what the Summit is nowadays, Dane?
Probably knowing how quickly arenas change and stuff like that. It's probably like a empty parking lot now.
No, it's actually a church.
Oh, okay.
It's Joel Osteen's church. You know who Joel Osteen is?
Unfortunately, I do know who he is.
Yes, the Mega TV preacher guy.
Yes.
That's the place where he didn't want people to go when that hurricane hit.
Ah.
Well, the less said about that, the better.
Yeah, exactly.
There were actually 2 dark matches on this show. Jim Powers beat Barry Horowitz, and Sam Houston defeated Steve Lombardi.
Okay, those are rather interesting dark matches.
Yeah, I don't think Lombardi was the Brooklyn Brawler yet.
No, I don't. Yeah, because I think it was later in '89, because I think he was already the Brawler there at WrestleMania 5 there.
All right, so we have a 2 out of 3 falls match. They loved having 2 out of 3 falls matches at these early Rumbles for some reason.
Yeah. Oh, hey, and we got one this year at this year's Rumble too. So hey, they're bringing back a tradition.
Well, as I should mention, this is the first Rumble technically on pay-per-view now, so
Yep.
we're not on USA Network anymore, and it's the first one with 30 men.
Yep.
So we have Hacksaw Jim Duggan and the Hart Foundation taking on Dino Bravo and the Fabulous Rougeaus.
The All-American Boys.
We're all American boys, all American boys.
Yeah.
And my favorite part is Jesse saying, the crowd's chanting USA, USA, but Brett's Canadian.
That's Canadian. And then Gorilla, well, Jim and the two Jims are American, so that counts.
Sure, I guess.
I guess, yeah.
It was a good match.
I mean, more so when the Hearts and Rougeaus were involved. I didn't care too much for Duggan and Bravo because I don't know, they're just kind of face fillers, but it was a good opener, though. Duggan's prize for winning the last year's Rumble is you get to be in the opening match.
Okay, so this was the first Rumble that had the drawings for the numbers. So we had Ted DiBiase drawing his number.
Yeah.
But he didn't like his number. So he decides, hey, Slick, how about I make a trade with you? So that's going to come into play later.
Oh, yes, it's going to come into play, definitely.
So we also had Hockey Talk Man draw his number, Bushwhackers, Bad News Brown, Jake, and the Rockers drawing their numbers. And now we have the WWF Women's title match between Rockin' Robin and Judy Martin. And oh my God, this was like the tail end for the women's title at this point.
Was it like pretty much scrapped after that and not brought back until like...
Yeah, until Alundra.
Alundra Blaze, yeah. So did Sherry ever get her rematch for the title? Or probably not then.
Probably not, I guess.
That was the only interesting part of the match, was just Sherry coming out. She gets winner, I guess, and then going on commentary and talking with Gorilla and Jesse about how she deserves to be the better champion.
I'm looking at Scott Keith's review. It's 2 3/4 stars. Okay, I'll take Scott's word for it.
I mean, yeah, it was all right for what it was. Like, there again, like, wasn't anything world shattering or anything, but it was, as Scott probably would say, a perfectly acceptable match.
As he would often say in EWR.
Oh God, yes.
Superposed down between the Warrior and Rick Rude. God.
And this, much like at 93 with Bobby Heenan unveiling the narcissist Lex Luger, this had to be a big rib on Vince and his love of bodybuilding.
Oh yeah, he was probably like going absolutely nuts and Gorilla, like, oh yes, yes,
yeah, good form. This is such good shit, man.
But I gotta love that Rick Rude was like choking the crap out of Warrior with the bar.
Yeah. That was like at least a fun segment compared to like the Bravo bench press record. Because I mean, you had Rude and Heenan being your classic heels, stalling and playing to the crowd, and Rude at least looks like he was hitting like some good poses, I guess, for your poses, and then Warrior just goes there and spazzes out, and the crowd goes wild. And yeah, the beatdown afterwards was just magnifique.
Okay, now we have the crown match. This was so big, Dane. It was not even on the Coliseum video.
No, it wasn't.
I'm guessing they wanted to live on like a memory, like what Bob Geldof wanted to do with Live Aid.
Yes.
They wanted to have it live in the memory of the crowd at the Summit that night and on pay-per-view. All right, King Haku against Harley Race for the crown of the WWF. So let me try to explain this, okay? So Harley Race was the king of the WWF. And then he got like hurt in a match against Hogan. And so he couldn't be the king anymore for some reason. And so Bobby Heenan's like, okay, I'll just give the crown to Haku.
Much like with most kingdoms, you just you get hurt, you can just pass it on to whoever, basically.
Yeah, that's apparently how it works with the line of succession. I guess Haku was like next in line, and it was like what, Tama, and I don't know who else in the Heenan family was next in the line of succession. Maybe it was like Rude third. I don't know.
Third, Andre fourth. No, they weren't there yet. Were they? The Brainbusters? I don't think they were quite there yet.
No, the Brainbusters were here at this time.
Oh, okay, yeah. Then yeah, we could have had switch off between Tully and Arn then.
Oh, could you imagine King Tully Blanchard? So King Haku against Harley Race. This was actually a pretty fun match.
I mean, yeah, it was a fun match for what it was, and just realizing, of course, that Harley Race just seemed out of place in the WWF. I mean, he was NWA World Champion for such a long time, and just, I don't know, he just seemed kind of man out of time in this era of WWF. And Haku, well, what can you say about a guy who's like a legit badass out in and out of the ring? So
okay, I have this from Scott. More pre-Rumble sound bites. Big John Studd gives a horrible interview. Savage sounds pretty whacked out, and the Powers of Pain breathe heavily a lot.
the breathing, like, is it almost as heavy as I think that one time when we had like Randy Orton and Manu?
I thought you were gonna go the time Heinrich was with Michael Cole.
Oh no, that was different. No, that was almost forcible confinement. This was, at least with Randy and Manu, it was just like I mean, it's bad enough already that's pro wrestling and MMA gets like the rap of being homoerotic when it's just like a bunch of guys rolling around in their underwear. So two guys just staring at each other and heavily breathing doesn't help either. So
no. All right, so now let's get into the Rumble. Now, Dane, you're not going to believe this. Okay, number 1 was Acts of Demolition, but number 2 was Smash of Demolition. How about that?
I think at this time they wanted to push it's every man for themselves. So what better way than having the tag team champions be the first 2 men in there and fighting each other off? And I think that then it's segueing into that year's Survivor Series when they had the whole "I'm thankful for" thing. We had Axe and Smash. You know what we're thankful for? That we don't have to fight each other again.
And then number 3 was Andre.
Ugh. And I think this was the beginning of the slow decline of, or at least when it was becoming obvious that Andre wasn't too much longer for this, like, for singles matches, and I think he was just going to be used for special occasion matches like this, and then tag team matches and stuff like that, because he just,
yeah. Number 4, we had Perfect. Number 5 was Ronnie Garvin, who has just debuted here in the company.
Yes, rugged Ronnie Garvin.
I believe he would have left the NWA. He was briefly in the EWA because he's on Super Clash 3. And then he goes to WWF.
Yeah.
Number 6 is Greg Valentine. Number 7, Jake Roberts, who is eliminated by Andre, but then Andre gets Damien into the ring, and Andre gets eliminating himself by going over the rope, which is very inconsistent, as we'll find out later on.
Oh, yes, we will.
Number 8 is Outlaw Ron Bass. Number 9 is Shawn making his Rumble debut. Number 10 is Butch from the Bushwhackers. No, not Pete Dunne. He gets very angry, Pete Dunne, when you call him Butch.
Yes.
It's like PTSD for him.
I'd have PTSD too if I was thoughts of me being referred to by a crap name given to me.
Number 11, Honky Tonk. Number 12, Tito. Number 13, Bad News Brown. Number 14 was Marty. Macho Man, 15. Arn and Tully, 16 and 17. The Hulkster at 18. Luke at 19. Coco at 20. And then Warlord at 21. And here's the famous moment.
Mhm.
The Warlord gets into the ring, and he's out of the ring by Hogan.
And I think that record stood still for shortest time until
Santino.
And then I think also then, or at least for the women's, then I think Chelsea Green ended up being the shortest woman from not last year's, but the 3 year before when she made her return.
Yes, but thankfully out of that became greatness for Chelsea as first ever women's U.S. champ. Got to be proud about that.
Yeah.
And then we got the Twin Towers of Boss Man and Akeem at 22 and 23.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say that this was when around this time Hogan eliminated Savage.
I think so, yes.
And that was to set up the whole thing with the teasing of the breakup angle.
Yeah.
Because Hogan eliminates Savage, I guess, accidentally, and then Savage gets pissed, and then Liz has to, like, break it up.
Boys, stop fighting.
Boys,
you can both marry me.
Oh, you know what? That would have been so great if it was like the Simpsons thing with Grandpa Simpson. Fellas, you can both marry me. That would have just settled everything.
Yeah.
Brutus was 24.
Mm-hmm.
Rooster was 25. Barbarian 26. Big John Studd 27. Hercules 28. Martel 29. And then Ted, I guess he bought a keen spot. He wanted to go up 7 spots higher at number 30.
Yes. But then also because we had the good fortune of Akeem and Bossman being in the ring at the same time and getting the toss that's Bastard Hogan out, and then
oh yeah, it really gets to be the shits.
Yep.
Because the last two is Big John Studd and Ted DiBiase.
Mm-hmm.
And Big John Studd wins the Rumble by eliminating DiBiase last. And I'm like, really? Big John Studd?
Were they looking to push him for something or whatever? Because the only thing I remembered after at that was, again, at Mania 5, he's just in the corner of Jake Roberts again when he faced Andre.
Well, no, he's the ref in the match.
Okay, he's the ref. Okay.
So I'm guessing they were going to set up a program with Andre during the summer, but that doesn't happen because he leaves in May.
Well, yeah, and then cause I think that's as well. I think if I remembered hearing correctly, I think the Mania 5 match with Roberts was, I think Vince then realizing that's it for single matches for Andre, that he's going just to be. I think that's.
Well, no, because he does a program with Warrior.
Oh, I forgot about the Warrior program.
That goes into Survivor Series because remember Andre gets eliminated 10 seconds into the match.
10 seconds in that match, and then I remember seeing also then I think it was I remember watching a clip on YouTube from around that period of time as well, from Brother Love segment where Keenan and Andre are on there, and Andre's got his face all painted up like the Warrior, and then he's the Ultimate Giant.
It's funny. Cardona and Myers recently put out a big rubber guys LJN style figure of Andre in the Warrior's face paint.
That would be something to get.
Oh man, if you can find that on eBay, that is a gift everybody should have in their collection. Okay, since this wasn't here, it probably was 88. Okay, there's a spot in the Rumble match where, Jesse says to Vince, Jesse's pitched at something, and Jesse says, I need to talk to Barry Bloom about it. And Vince says, who? And Jesse says, oh, you know who. All right, now we go into the 1990 Rumble. Orlando Arena in Orlando, the home of the Magic. And what a commentary team we got. Tony and Jesse doing this.
Oh yes, and you know what? I enjoyed Jesse. He just had so much chemistry with all, because that's something that we see progressing. So I started off with Vince there in '88, and then he's with Gorilla in '89, and then we got Shavante here in '90. So but he had chemistry with all, and different types of chemistry of all three.
I love that Jesse's wearing the Mickey Mouse sweater.
Mickey Mouse, yeah.
And he's got the Mickey ears, and he gives Tony a goofy hat. He's like, try it on. And Tony's like, well, I'll try it on later.
Bit of a killjoy with that spot, but
it would have been hilarious if he did put on the goofy ears.
Yeah.
I would have loved that. But we had a dark match on this pay-per-view. Mm-hmm. Paul Roma against the Brooklyn Brawler. Paul Roma getting the win. And now we have our opening match on the pay-per-view. We have the Bushwhackers against the Fabulous Rougeaus, who are on their way out. The Bushwhackers getting the win in this one.
And as well as, I think, as we remembered from, I think this was also the debut of as I think we remembered from the OSW review, the quick rub and squeezy there, I think, from Butch, I think it was Butch or Luke who did it to Raymond's.
That was at Mania 5.
Oh, okay. I thought, for some reason, I thought it was at this one that was.
No. Oh, I wish it was. You know what? I also wish Dane was at this show.
I think yes. I think I know what we're going to be talking about next.
The Bushwhackers Kangaroo from '96.
Yes.
Which I had no memory of until I saw it on YouTube, and I'm like, "Wait, Dane, they had a kangaroo?"
Yeah, and I was telling, I think it was to promote. Because I vaguely remember that they had opened up some kind of theme restaurant or something in Orlando, and they were using the kangaroo as their mascot to promote the restaurant. So,
could you imagine if that kangaroo stuck around during the Attitude Era?
I think that's what we got with Stomper in TNA there in the earlier years.
The kangaroo became Stomper.
Yeah, that's my headcanon. That's
why hasn't TNA brought Stomper back? That's my big question.
Well, never know. Stranger things have happened. I mean, they brought back Tessa Blanchard for whatever reason, and although they seem to be nicely leaning into the hatred that she has, but is it good to be hated to be a racist? But that's another topic for another time.
Okay, well, Mean Gene's interviewing Ted, and you're not going to believe this. Ted reveals to Gene that he's not going to buy another number because now he drew number 1 this year. What?
Oh,
that's shocking.
Yeah, that was quite the surprisement.
So our next match is the Genius against Brutus Beefcake, which, oh God, this was bad.
It was bad, but it was bad, but God bless Lanny Poffel. He was like a throwback to your traditional heel, I think. And his poems, I mean, that I guess apparently he actually wrote all those poems that he would always read. So he was quite witty in that regard. But yeah, the rest of that match was just, ugh.
You know what I wish? I wish Beefcake would have just won the Intercontinental title. Like that freaking parasailing thing didn't happen.
Yeah, that would have been the nice.
Did you see that Dark Side of the Ring on Brutus about that?
I kind of recall it. I don't.
Oh, it was bad. Like how his face collapsed and stuff.
Yeah.
It was like, ugh. I didn't realize how terrible that was.
Yeah, I mean, I think also, like, wasn't he also, like, he clinically passed away as well, too, or something, I thought, where he was, like, in a coma as well, too, for a bit, or?
I think maybe. But, oh.
yeah, that was just
Yeah, well, thankfully, like his face got much better, even though we got that Hogan match at Starrcade '94.
yeah.
I'm sure one day we'll talk about that.
Butcher of a friendship.
He butchered a friendship. Okay, submission match. And this is the blow up to a big feud in '89. Rugged Ronnie Garvin against Greg the Hammer Valentine. So let's just go over the history of this feud, okay? So, like,
Okay, it was odd because I know you canceled him already. Like, and I kind of saw yesterday there was a clip from Jim Cornette's podcast that him and Brian Last were talking about Rugged Ronnie Garvin, and Last was talking about this feud. So it'd be interesting to kind of go over it again.
yeah, because like Garvin and Valentine, they have like this feud on Superstars, and like Garvin beats Valentine, but Valentine says, I can beat Ronnie Garvin, and if I can't beat Ronnie Garvin, I'll retire or something. And then Garvin says, well, if I can't beat you again, I'll retire. So it's like a
Yeah.
loser retires match.
Yeah.
And so Greg Valentine wins by cheating. And so Ronnie Garvin has to retire. But Ronnie Garvin decides, you know what I'm going to become? I'm going to become a referee.
Yeah.
And so he becomes like a reverse Danny Davis. He's like starting shit with all the heels and stuff.
Yeah.
And then Jack Tunney's like, okay, Ronnie Garvin, you can't be a referee anymore. And so Ronnie Garvin decides to one up. He comes to SummerSlam as a guest ring announcer.
Yes.
And he insults Greg Valentine coming to the ring and such.
Yeah.
And then when Greg Valentine beats Hercules by cheating, he decides he's not going to call Greg Valentine the winner. He decides Hercules is the winner. And the ref's like, no, that's not what happened. You got to make Greg Valentine the winner. He's like, okay, I'm mistaken. The winner of this match, by disqualification, the mighty Hercules. And then they fight Garvin and Valentine. And it's so freaking great. And then eventually Greg Valentine's like, all right, I've had enough. Just reinstate him already. And so we have this, the submission match, the final chapter of the feud. And apparently, like, there's like a shin guard by Ronnie Garvin called the Hammer Jammer.
Yeah.
Which, can you describe, Dane, what the Hammer Jammer is?
Basically, it was to jam up Greg Valentine from putting on the figure four and inflicting pain on Garvin's shins.
And then somehow in this match, like, even though it's a submission match, they go for pinfalls.
If I remember, I think Jesse tried to explain in a way that's going for pins would kind of exhaust your opponent, so you could be easier to get them to submit. I think, if I remember correctly, I could be just making things up in my head, but yeah, that was just weird. That you got a submission match with pinfalls, apparently.
And apparently, Ronnie does an Indian death block in the match.
Yeah.
That's kind of sick.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's... Well, of course, I think the best part was, I think, when Valentine, of course, gets the figure four on him, and he's not realizing he's got the hammer jammer, and then you got Garvin then making all kinds of funny faces at Valentine.
And then Ronnie wins the match by doing a... Well, they hadn't officially done this for Brett yet, but I guess it's a sharpshooter, kind of.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to think, like, at this time, like, Sting would be the only one doing that move as a Scorpion.
Yep. Yeah, I think it's some kind of almost standing leg lock, grapevine leg lock of some sort. That's
I want to think somewhere in the back, Brett said to Ronnie in kayfabe, like, Ronnie, that moves was pretty nice. Can you show me how to do it? Okay, so Mr. Perfect gloats about beating Beefcake earlier and says that he drew number 30 in the Rumble.
Perfect number.
Yes. And then here's your traditional early Rumble. Let's waste 20 minutes of pay-per-view time with Brother Love and Sapphire and Sherry.
And to imagine if we had the original version of what Dusty Rhodes wanted Sapphire to be.
What? I have no idea. What did he want Sapphire to be?
Apparently, he actually he wanted like almost kind of like a Dark Journey type, like a skinny black streetwalker.
Oh, why couldn't they have just hired Dark Journey?
Good question.
Like, she didn't do anything after, like, Crockett bought UWF. Like, she did some stuff with the Horsemen, but that was it.
Yeah. I know she was so good friends with Missy Hyatt, and Missy kind of course, I think if that she got was almost casting couched by Vince there, maybe she kind of warned people not to go unless they want to get. Well, yeah.
That might explain a lot.
Yep.
Okay, I don't even remember this match. Big Boss Man against Hacksaw Duggan.
Because I barely remembered it as well too from when I just did the rewatch there, and I mean it was all right. It was just at this time I think Duggan was just at the time of that most of his big matches now were just either winning by screwy bit by count out or disqualification, and then just brawl to the back, and the 2x4 is used somehow.
Okay, apparently Boss Man used the nightstick and beat up Duggan for the DQ, so that makes sense.
Yep.
Scott gave it 2.5 stars. So 5-minute intermission, interviews all over the place. This was like the best thing about these early Rumbles was pre-Rumble interviews.
Plus, we also got a nice little flub from Hercules during his spot. He says Rumble Royal.
I think originally, like, if you watch some of the prime times leading up to the 88 Rumble, I think Gorilla or Bobby, they refer to it as the Rumble Royal.
Oh, yes. Which, of course, I know I've told you this story before, but I'll tell the... Back in 99, 2000, when Bruce Hart decided to try to revive Stampede Wrestling in Calgary, there was actually a match that was, hey, let's have 2 guys start off, and then about every 2 minutes we had another guy, so there was about 30 minutes called out, and he called it the Rumble Royale. Of course, the best part about this too was at the time the commentators were Mauro Ranallo and Bad News Allen, and Bad News Allen just basically shitting on. I think that was the only highlight of Stampede Wrestling, the revival in that 2000 was just Bad News taking whatever time to shit on the Hearts and shit on Bruce, because then I know Bruce also he also had like a jobber to the stars named So Damn Insane.
That might even be better than the Rest Edmonton Mauler.
Yeah.
I hope that Bad News called Mauro a beer-bellied sharecropper.
Yeah, yes, he did, and he called the fans there too as well. Beer-bellied sharecroppers as well too.
Oh man, there has to be some of that Stampede revival on YouTube. I could watch that all day.
Yeah.
But okay, we mentioned Ted was number 1.
Yeah.
Coco was number 2. And then we have Morty at 3, Jake at 4, Randy at 5, Piper making his Rumble debut at 6. Warlord at 7. Brett at 8. Bad News at 9. Dusty at 10. Andre at 11. Brewster at 12. Axe at 13. Haku at 14. Smash at 15. Akeem at 16. Snook at 17. Bravo at 18. He was known, number 19, as the Canadian Earthquake at this time.
Yes.
Still hadn't shortened it to Earthquake yet.
Nope. I think it was by the time when they go to WrestleMania 6 that I think they dropped the Canadian part. Because I think I remembered his match there with, I forget who he faced. It's
Hercules.
Yes. Okay. Yes, that was. Yeah, because it was Bravo and Duggan that faced, and then I remember that. Afterwards, I think Earthquake gave Duggan the giant whoopsie afterwards. So
Yes. Now, I do remember my favorite part about later on, because I think Duggan used the 2x4 in Bravo, and I remember Steve Allen saying, now, contrary, it was not an American 2x4, it was Canadian 2x4 that Hacksaw Jim Duggan used.
Yes, good old Steve Allen.
Jim Neidhart at 20, Warrior at 21, Rick Martel at 22. I guess he's the model now at this time.
Yep.
Tito at 23, Honky Tonk at 24, Hogan at 25, Shawn at 26, Barbarian at 27, Rude 28, Hercules at 29, and Perfect at 30. Now let's go over some of our favorite spots from this Rumble. Oh, Bad News and Piper setting up their match at WrestleMania 6.
Yes, with the traditional. Yeah, I think, because we had Piper, he eliminated Brown, and then Brown decides to pull out Piper, and then they brawl to the back. Sets up the infamous black like Roddy gimmick there, with Piper deciding to paint himself half black and leaving the other side just white.
I never understood why he painted himself half black. Why did he paint himself half black?
I don't know, maybe because if you went the full black, that would have been
racist, I guess. So he just, I'm all right. I'll just do it halfway.
Yeah, and of course, I think the best part, I remember Piper talking about this on his on the Born of Controversy documentary. There, he was saying that after their match, it took him almost 6 weeks to wash all that black paint off him.
Yeah, because Andre took away the solution.
Yeah.
And so he's mentioned something about when he's going to his plane, like with the half black face. He's got we bought a Mickey Mouse like doll for his daughter or whatever. And he's like, give me a front row seat for me and Mickey.
God bless you, Maniac.
The Maniac loves you. Oh, Jake and Ted setting up their match at Mania during it too. And let's see. Axe and Smash, they eliminate Andre.
Setting up their, because I think at that time, they just lost the tag belts to the Colossal Connection with Andre and Haku. So
yeah.
So that sets up their rematch at Mania 6 as well too. So this is a lot of small building towards what would be Mania 6. And of course we got the real thing there with Hogan and Warrior.
The big standoff. Because they cleaned house, they eliminated everybody, and then everybody in the arena realizes it's just them and everyone's going nuts.
Yeah. I think he was long gone already, but I thought the original plan for Mania 6 was going to be one-on-one Hogan versus Zeus, but I'm guessing they had finished that off already, so.
Yeah, probably no holds barred the match. The movie was like, okay, we've had enough of this.
Yeah. Tiny, go make Friday with Ice Cube.
Go to make Ice Cube that Friday movie in about 5 years, and then you'll be in the Dark Knight in about another 10 years. Yes.
Yes, and you'll be the president of the world in the Fifth Element.
Oh, man. I'll tell you what, he makes the Fifth Element, in my opinion, Tiny Lister.
Yeah.
By the way, did you know that there's now a retro Zeus action figure from Mattel in the Hasbro style?
Wow.
No, they have that, and one of Hogan is Rip.
Wow, that's
And okay, even
now,
better.
Now where's our Brel action figure?
Oh, Mitch from Hastel Toys has made a Kurt Fuller retro style figure. I'm not. I will send you the link on Messenger. Just hang on a second.
Oh, there we go. I'm just gonna open it up here and. Oh my God! Yes.
Now, don't lie and say you would want to own this figure.
Oh my God! I think I would want. I don't want just own it. I want to have like 3 of them. Just.
Okay, do you want to say what the special move is on the packaging?
I'll click on the picture there too.
It says at the bottom, real vintage style figure with jock-ass jolt.
Yes, chalk ass.
I don't get why, like, Rip was supposed to be called a jock-ass. I don't know what that meant.
Well, it was the 80s, and who knows what Vince and Hogan came up with in their.
Oh, yeah, because apparently they wrote this movie, like, in a hotel room for, like, a weekend, like, high on cocaine.
Yes.
That's not even a joke. They probably were on cocaine when they wrote the script.
Well, yeah, mainly because I think the first script writer, he gave him the script, and they didn't, probably Hogan, that'll work for me, brother. Yeah, and then Vince is like, God damn it, I think we can just do this ourselves, Ed.
Hey, word. Okay, so Final 4 is Hogan, Rude, Hercules, Mr. Perfect. Hercules is out, and then Rude's out. That's Hogan and Perfect, and then Hogan eliminates Perfect, and then he wins the Rumble.
Yeah.
So let's see, 6 eliminations for Hogan, and let's see, DiBiase went 44 minutes, 47 seconds. So this was the longevity record at this point.
At the point, yes, at that time.
Yep. So that is the 1990 Rumble. So now we go to 1991 from the Miami Arena in Miami, the home of the Miami Heat. So, all right.
They sure liked the whole Florida area there for the first 2.
Yeah, they really did. And really, when you think of this Rumble, you know what you think of? The poster.
That was an epic poster.
You look at the poster, we got Warrior, we got Perfect, we got Hogan, we got LOD, we got Kerry Von Erich, we got Macho Man, Earthquake, Tugboat, and the Boss Man, and Slaughter.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything more epic than that poster. It's just... So, okay, we had one dark match. Jerry Saggs beating Sam Houston, which explains why he's not in the Rumble match, because I always wondered, why is Knobs in the match and not Saggs?
That was weird that they only had one of the Nasty Boys in there.
But I think I know why he was only in the match, brother. But okay. This is, I guess, the whole theme of this pay-per-view is like, okay, the war's just started in Iraq, so it's like, America, brother.
Ramp up the patriotism, boys.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be like, we're not going to have anything awkward on this show.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have something awkward on this show.
Oh, yeah. They're going to. But hey, we got to build towards that 100,000.
Oh, yeah, 100,000 at the LA Coliseum, Dane. It's going to be like a big crowd. It's going to be outdoors, 100,000 people at the LA Coliseum.
Yeah, it'll be. I'll show that Dave Meltzer questioning the 93,000 at Mania 3.
78,000 my ass. Take that, Zane. I'm going to say this right now. We'll probably get to Mania 3 eventually. I think I want to talk about that next month, but
oh yeah,
I will say I'm going to call bullshit on Dave in the 78,000 because I could buy if it was like a show now and you had like the Titantron blocking like a section or two, but it's like the Silverdome sat like 80,000 for football. Yeah. So you're telling me like this was going to sit 2,000 less than it would seat for a Lions game?
Yeah.
I don't get that at all.
I think I still think the story was because then was it before? I think it was before that they had the Pope there doing
yes, because they made a fake number for the Pope so it could pass the Mania 3 record. But I will say, I would not be surprised if there was like at least 85,000 in the building, like using the football capacity plus the seats on the floor.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no way there was just 78,000. Dave swears 78,000, but it's like, I doubt it.
You know what? Since I was diagnosed myself a few years having a neurodivergent brain, I'm starting to think that not a knock against him, but I think Dave is a bit neurodivergent.
Yeah, I think everyone's figured that by now. I mean, I don't have anything against Dave. I love Dave. I think there's nobody better that knows all. For as much as I make jokes about him overrating matches at the Tokyo Dome, there's nobody that knows history about this industry more than Dave. Like, when Dave's gone, it's like a lot of wrestling history goes with him.
Yeah.
So I'm thankful we have Dave and all his stories and everything, but it's like I will cast doubt on the 78,000. I'll carry that to my grave. So
yeah, not the 93,000 that WWE says, but it's definitely not the 78 that Dave swears by some whatever.
Yeah, whatever Zane Bresloff told him.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
Okay, so the opening match of this show, the Rockers and the New Orient Express, which was Tanaka and Paul Diamond as Kato.
Yep. Kato, yes. I think Sato went back to Japan at that time.
So this was an epic opener. I think maybe the Rockers had maybe the two best opening matches on any pay-per-view for a long time between that and the match with Haku and Barbarian in Mania 7.
Yes. That was definitely an example of what good tag team wrestling was. But good tag team wrestling isn't. Well, we'll talk about that in the upcoming show.
The next year in 92.
Next, we got two real thinkers of matches.
Okay, so now Macho Man wants, what is it, Bulldog?
Where's my title shot?
Oh, that a title shot. You had yours already.
So Slaughter, I guess, agreed to get a title match for Savage. So he wants Warrior to agree to a title match. So he has freaking Sherry try to seduce Warrior?
Well, fair fucks to her. I mean, she put it all out there, and she got down on her knees, and the crowd gave the good old Married with Children pop. Woo!
Woo! I gotta be honest, if I was Warrior and I saw Sherry just doing that, I'd be like, you know what? Sure. I need a little pick-me-up like Ring King and NES. Have you ever played Ring King on NES, Dane?
I have.
Oh, you haven't? Well, between rounds in Ring King, the quarter man in Ring King gives a little something to regain the health, if you know what I mean.
Yes. Are we talking about the same kind of favors that Bad News Brown once accused Elizabeth giving to President Jack Tunney?
Oh, yes. Those kind of favors. And so Warrior just spits at Sherry, and then he just goes into like convulsions, and he goes, "No!"
Oh,
And then Savage is like, "This is bullshit," and he's just like throwing shit in the back, and it's just, oh.
again, kind of a good setup for something that will happen later on.
Next, we get the Big Boss Man against the Barbarian.
And probably the third most silliest reason for a feud ever. That, well, actually, it kind of first started off that Rick Rude was disparaging Boss Man's mother, but then I think what happened, and Rick Rude was suspended indefinitely for saying such things, so all of a sudden everything got passed on to Bobby Heenan. And now Bobby Heenan's picked up the whole thing of his just trashing Boss Man's mom, and now Boss Man is going to go through the Heenan family to get back the good name of his mom.
You know what? I was wondering, why couldn't Bobby, like, a year earlier have just gotten nails from whatever prison he was in?
Yes,
just
that would have solved a lot, I think, if Nails came in a year earlier and just went after Boss Man instead of relying on pretty much a very thin lineup of the Heenan family now, because all that's left, I think, was just Perfect and Barbarian.
And Haku.
And I think Haku was still kicking around.
Yeah. Now we get into the, oh, by the way, I think, what was it? Yeah, Boss Man got the win. Yeah, 2.5 stars by Scott. Okay, here we go. The title match between Warrior and Slaughter.
No, funny thing was, I was just a few days, I think it was last week, I watched again on YouTube, a clip from the AWA from the pretty much the dying days in 1990 from their Team Challenge series, and there was a match between Sergeant Slaughter as a face against Kokina Maximus, better known as Yokozuna.
Oh, the future oh my God. Matchup two WWF champions. How come that's not on the Vault channel yet?
I don't know. This was just on a random, and I kind of got down a rabbit hole because I also found on the Vault channel there too, like a promo with Alpha and Yoko, like that's doing kind of the Kokina thing, but he was just called the Great Kokina, and it was just Alpha just talking weird and just, this is the Great Volcano.
That would be something to see, because I don't remember Alpha ever talking.
Yeah, I think that's. I'll send you the link afterwards, and you can watch it. But yeah, it was just like, I mean, off topic. It's just off. That Vault channel has like been a godsend. Like whatever interns that Nick Khan and Paul Levesque have in charge of it, that's like, you guys are earning your keep right now.
Oh,
between that and uploading, like they also been uploading random Coliseum home video releases, and
let's not forget that the NXT channel is now up on YouTube.
Yes, and I'm gonna be watching some of that stuff because I want to see like young Seth Rollins and young Roman Reigns, and see if I can get some Paige before she decided to kind of ruin her body, I think, afterwards. But that's,
yeah. But you know what? I hope we get to relive Becky doing the Irish jig again. But this match between Warrior and Slaughter is just okay. Now, I don't know if you've ever read Dave's like column or like it's an observer issue about like everything leading up to like the whole thing with the Slaughter winning the title and everything with the whole controversy and everything. And it's just like, God, everyone was so pissed that they did this. The whole Iraq thing at this time was like so like controversial. And it's like, they really thought that this would have enough juice.
Enough juice to get people to come. And obviously, it now, and I mean, again, Slaughter is a decent talker, I guess, to a point. That he definitely kind of, I mean, he did his best to fill that role as your typical evil foreigner, with the twist that he's an American, but supporting the other side in this war. But yeah, it just ill-timed, bad. Probably one of the few things that just didn't connect, I guess, because this was an actual war going on right now that people were dying in, and it was just, in the immortal words of Paul Scrivens, what was wrestling thinking?
Yeah. What was wrestling thinking back in 1991?
Yes. I mean, the only saving graces of this match were the two Savage run-ins and beatdowns.
Oh,
The first one was just brilliant. Like, it was just like, Jerry comes out and distracts Warrior. Warrior chases her, and then Savage is just waiting, like, kind of there, and just pounces on Warrior, smacks him with like a light stand, and doesn't pose, doesn't he? Just like almost like a mania, like a manic attack, basically.
But then when he hits Warrior with the scepter, and like all it is like Slaughter just does 2 elbow drops, pin, that's it. But then the best part is like Gorilla and Roddy are like in denial that this has happened. They're like, oh
Yeah.
no, yeah, they're gonna call for a DQ. No. Oh, you've got to be kidding me.
And I think that was probably, other than the Andre thing at the main event, I think that was the first time in a long time that a heel had gone over and won the world championship.
Yeah, other than probably like maybe since, if you're not counting Andre, it's probably the first time since Sheik beat Backlund in '83.
Yes, so that was quite the shock.
Okay, so now we get into the tag match between Dusty and Dustin and Ted DiBiase and Virgil. So,
okay, I thought, or was it before or after that match? Because I think we were also forgetting something else.
oh wait, hold on a second. We are forgetting something. I think
something
I know
want
why.
to talk about, because that was quite the, in kayfabe terms, that was quite the career transition for him.
Yeah, but before we get that, because I think I know why. This was kind of out of the Coliseum release.
Yeah.
The Mountie took on Coco Beware.
Yes. The Mountie, of course, being the former Jacques Rougeau.
Okay,
So
how did they explain he became a Mountie?
You know what? I don't know. I mean, it's just, I guess, did he go through the proper recruitment process I
don't think he did, because wasn't the Canadian government pissed at this?
Yeah, well, yeah, the actual RCMP, they were pissed. Like, they actually, I think they sent like a cease and desist to the WWF, and I think the most that ever happened, like, basically, like, we had like even like here, like on our dub of Superstars, like every time he was on, like we'd have like the dub come, well, we know that the actual RCMP have spoken that they do not support, we don't like this, basically. He couldn't actually call himself the Bounty here in Canada. Like, he just went by Jacques Rougeau, but he was still like had the Stetson and red tunic and the shock stick, and it was just like weird with that until, well, thankfully he kind of kept the Mountie garb a bit, and when he found Pierre and formed the Quebecers.
Yeah. And then they became not the Mounties, but the Quebecers. They wanted to make it clear in the song, look, I know I was the Mountie, but I'm with some other guy in this car, but we're not the Mounties. We're just the Quebecers. Which was like, okay, I guess that makes sense.
That makes total sense.
And then later on, when they come back in the Attitude Era, like, Jacques will be wearing, like, whatever the hell he was wearing.
Yeah, I remember. I barely remember that run because I think I barely remember them too. Like they were in WCW as the Amazing French Canadians.
I'm glad that Pierre kept his Jean-Pierre eye patch for that when he came
I'm glad
back.
he came back as the French Canadian Frankenstein PCO or whatever.
PCO, yeah. The now no longer TNA Digital Media Champion.
Yeah.
Total Mr. Perfect, smashing the belt.
And
I guess we don't count that belt anymore in canon. It just disappears like the WCW Hardcore title.
yes, yeah.
Huh. Okay, the Mountie beat Coco Beware. So I don't remember what happened in this match. Because I reviewed this, because me and like Keith Langston watched this on like Stream Lounge back in the day when that was still around for Place to Be Nation, but I don't remember like what happened in this match at all.
I don't remember too much either, other than I think that Mountie won with kind of like a nerve hold / passive crowd control move.
Okay, now we can get into the tag match.
Yes, now we can get to the son of a plumber and the son of a son.
So, okay, Ted and Virgil against Dusty and Dustin. Now, let's explain the history going into this match. So, Dusty has a feud with Ted because he bought Sapphire by buying Sapphire like all these extravagant gifts.
Yeah.
Which, okay, like he bought like a bunch of gifts. Oh, I think I remember this. This was my favorite part in SummerSlam when Dusty's trying to find Sapphire and he asks Hacksaw where Sapphire is, and he's like, I haven't found her, Dust, but we're all still looking for her.
I think there too. I think I remembered there as well too. We had Mean Gene interviewing Sherry about that. I think they were supposed to have a match there, and they weren't finding her, and Gene was like, "Well, we did have earlier sightings of her." And Sherry's like, "Early sightings? What is she, a UFO?"
So then eventually at some point, like it's on a Saturday night's main event where Dusty's fighting Ted, and I think it's Savage against Dustin.
He was fighting Savage because Dustin was in the crowd. We had Ted DiBiase and Virgil buying off people in the audience so he can have a front row seat next or close to Dustin.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Dustin's the only person like who doesn't like accept. He just wants to watch his dad wrestle. And so Ted picks a fight with him. And so that starts that feud. And then I think it's like, doesn't Ted challenge Dustin to like a match where it's like, if you can last 10 minutes or something?
Yeah.
So it's like, Dustin has to last 10 minutes to like win.
10 minutes to win, yep. Which he
did,
and then got finally beat down by DiBiase and Virgil, which then Dusty comes out to try and save him. Which then I think kind of starts leading to this. But then we also then got the other, which will play into the final end of this match, is the constant degradation of DiBiase with Virgil, treating him like he's like I think one time like on Brother Love, he's like, "Shine my shoes, Virgil. Now shine Brother Love shoes." And then
Roddy's like, "I'm sick of this," and so he talks to Virgil about like, how can you take this like. So it's like they have like this talk and such. So this plays into the match and stuff. So I should note, like, this was like around the time Dusty had accepted to go back to WCW as the booker.
Yeah.
So this is Dusty on his way out. Dustin's going with him to WCW. So it's basically like 10 Virgil get the win. So after the match, DiBiase orders Virgil to get the $1 million belt. And so it's like he drops like some money, I think, and Virgil's trying to pick up the money. If I remember correctly.
I think so, yeah.
And so it's like Ted has his back turned, and it's like Virgil's like, and the crowd's like, "Oh, this is gonna happen. This is gonna happen." And then, like, as soon as DiBiase turns around, smacks $1 million man with the $1 million belt, and everyone goes nuts.
Yes, that was definitely the highlight of the night, I think, was. And like they're again building towards another feud for the hundreds and hundreds of thousands in Los Angeles.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be 100,000 people, Dane. It's gonna be nuts. Everyone's gonna go nuts for that.
I'm excited seeing the real undefeated streak person.
Oh wait, no, Dane. This is going to be Virgil's first WrestleMania match. They haven't established the streak yet for Virgil, the real streak.
Yes. Because while we do have the other streak that also gets established, starts beginning at that Mania 2, but...
Oh, no. The real streak begins.
Real streak.
The real streak is 2-0, which will never be broken, Dane, since Virgil's no longer with us. So he'll remain forever undefeated.
Yeah. Well, I guess I don't know, because I think Michael Cole got the win there, so when him and Jerry Lawler had their...
Oh, I don't count that. That's
okay,
BS from Hornswoggle. Well, I do not count that. In this household, Jerry Lawler won that match, so...
Okay, that's good to know.
That's my personal... Well, I'm not going to go there. Oh, there's an interview with Gene and Hogan where Gene's like, oh my God, Hulkster. Oh, I heard that Sergeant Slaughter has burned an American flag. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but oh my God.
That was just, that was just, not necessary, I think, again, because I know they're trying to build heat into this kind of bit of a heatless champ right now. But say that, I mean, I don't even think like, I know they threatened it a few times, but I don't even think like when we had like Lance Storm and the Un-Americans there, I think they threatened a few times to burn the. Then they never really followed through. Pretty sure that's a serious crime in your country.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, Dane. I vaguely remember like hearing like when that was going down, like on live audio wrestling, like Jeff Merrick mentioning something about there was like some talk about them cutting like I think this was like on an MSG show like close to 9/11 about the Un-Americans cutting a promo near Ground Zero. So I asked like in a Figure Forward Daily mailbag to Brian to ask Lance, like I asked like, does Lance like remember like this, or did it ever happen, or was it seriously considered? And Lance didn't recall that ever happening. So, so I don't know what the deal was with that. So,
yeah,
maybe it was something considered and like it quickly got shut down by creative and it never made its way to Lance and the talent. But
Well, much like everything else around that period of time, like we missed out on such things like Kenzo Suzuki as Hirohito, the lost Japanese kamikaze
oh
pilot.
my god, I forgot they were going to consider that. Oh,
And as well as Heidenreich as Unfrozen Caveman Nazi.
oh, dude. Do you imagine like Heidenreich as Unfrozen Caveman Nazi? It would deliver more when he met Snitsky later in that classic moment at the 05 Rumble.
Oh.
I hear you don't like caskets. I hate caskets. I know you do. I don't like them either. But I do like you, John. I like you too, Gene. But I still hate caskets. That was the most homoerotic segment I ever saw in my life. Oh. Okay, now it's time to talk about the 91 Rumble.
Yep.
Okay, so Brett, for the second time in 4 Rumbles, is number 1.
Mm-hmm.
And then number 2, we have Dino Bravo. So Brett went 20 minutes, but number 3, we have the Hammer going 44 minutes at number 3.
As Gorilla likes to point out, it takes them about 20 minutes to warm up to, so half of that was warm-up time.
We have Roma at 4, Texas Tornado at 5, Rick Martel at 6, where Rick goes 52 minutes, which sets, at that point, the all-time longevity record.
But yeah, which is a shame because I wish, we kind of spoke earlier about Beefcake. There's a person who probably could have used an intercontinental run as well as Martel.
Yeah, I think the closest he ever got was that match with Razor on Monday Night Raw after the Battle Royal.
Yep.
Which was a good match, but I mean, it was like, he never got close to like singles gold after that.
Nope.
I wonder if they had like the U.S. title back then as they do now. Maybe he would have had a run with that.
Yeah, that would have been a possibility. Or I'm actually kind of surprised they never made like a secondary, like lower card, like a TV title type thing.
Yeah, they probably didn't want to dilute the belts as like, they probably thought, oh, WCW, they just dilute their titles with so many belts.
Yeah.
Okay, number 7. Oh, that's not Saba Simba. That's Tony Atlas.
Oh, God. Oh, I forgot about Saba Simba.
Oh, did you know that they released the list for episodes of season 6's Dark Side of the Ring?
Yes, I did see and I saw Tony Atlas as part of it. So.
Oh, I can't wait for everyone to know about his fetish for
feet. Yep.
I actually did get Tony Atlas's autograph on that WWF book I mentioned because he's in the book because they have a picture of the WrestleMania 2 Battle Royal and I got his autograph on that.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, number 8, we got Bushwhacker Butch. Number 9, we have Jake. Number 10, Hercules. Number 11, Tito. Number 12, Taker.
Bong.
So this is his second pay-per-view appearance.
Yeah.
So he's still managed by Brother Love at this time.
Yeah.
I don't think Paul Bearer comes in until like, I think a couple weeks later.
A couple weeks later, yeah, because he was already there at WrestleMania 7, so.
Oh, that hilarious segment with Regis where they're measuring Regis for a casket. Yeah. Come on, guys, we're dying out here. It's a great time to be alive, wouldn't you say? Gelman, can you believe this? It's out of control. Look at 13, Bulldog at 14. And Bulldog goes 36 minutes here. He goes to the final 4, but I think Bulldog would have like the big, like Battle Royal win later that year at Royal Albert Hall.
Yeah. Yeah, because I remembered, because he did mention it, because we'll maybe talk about that in the upcoming show. Yeah, because he does name drop that event and that prize because then he figures that winning this Rumble will definitely be a royal one for me.
Smash at 15, Hawk at 16, Shane Douglas at 17. Now, I'm going to mention the book again because the last show I was at, Shane was at. So I got his autograph because there's a picture of him in the 91 Rumble. I got that signed. But Shane loved the picture, and he told me like a story about how it was like he remembered like it was so like hot in that arena. It was like something about like the participation in like that arena made everybody sweaty. He said if you like watch that Rumble closely, it's like everyone in that ring is sweating. So that's pretty cool. I have Shane on that book in the 91 Rumble picture. So I have a lot of big names in that book. I mean, it's good. I hope I'll go to the one in March because I know Brett's going to be there for that show. So that'd be kind of cool to get Brett on that book. So,
oh yeah, for sure.
Number 18, we had Randy Savage, but you're not going to believe this, Dane. He didn't show up.
He didn't show up. Well, he's got a Mad Warrior after him now. So
yeah. Oh well. Animal at 19. Oh, Crush at 20. Because remember, it's now just Smash and Crush's Demolition.
Oh, yes. The dire version of Demolition.
Yeah, Jack Tunney said only 2 people can be Demolition. None of this 3-man shit.
We ain't freebirding here, boys.
Yeah, take that back to Dallas with that shit.
Yeah.
Hacksaw at 21, Quake at 22, Perfect at 23, Hogan at 24, Haku at 25, Neidhart at 26. But then, Dane, here's the best part, 27. Bushwhacker Luke comes out. He comes marching. Earthquake just like, here we go. Throws him out, and then he just goes walking back. That moment's now been immortalized in a shirt by Homage that says, Bushwhacker Luke, keep marching.
I think they recreated that spot with Taz, and I think in the 01 Rumble, when Kane was...
Oh, yeah, I do, because they just put that on the vault, and I did see that.
Yeah. And there's Taz coming marching, and he's got it there, marching out to his music, and then Kane just chucks him and carries on and marches back.
Brian Knobs is 28, Warlord at 29, and Tugboat at 30. Toot toot.
Oh.
So this was the first time in the history of the Rumble that at least the third of the field lasted for 20 minutes or more during the match. So let me just look here. Brett went 20 minutes. Rick went 52 minutes. Valentine went 44 minutes. Hercules went 37 minutes. Tito went 30 minutes. Bulldog went 36 minutes. Shane Douglas went 26 minutes.
Wow.
Crush went 18 minutes. So I'm just shy of 20. Quake went 24. Hogan went 21 minutes. So, and I think Knobs was in the final 4 with Hogan, Bulldog, and Quake.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Yeah, because
and then Hogan eliminated Earthquake last. And I guess that was kind of the blow off to the feud with Quake.
Yeah.
So, let's see, 7 eliminations by Hogan. So I guess right now that would be at the time the record for most eliminations.
Mm-hmm.
So I gotta say this was a pretty good show.
Like all the Americana stuff, and
I mean, you had the great tag match at the start of the show.
Yeah, that tag match. Yeah, and then you had the payoff of DiBiase and Virgil there. And yeah, the Rumble itself was, it was all right. So yeah,
All right, now let's go into the 1992 Rumble, the last Rumble we'll talk about tonight, which we also have a modified version of that 91 poster for 92. I'll just say who is on this poster. So we have Savage, Quake, Perfect, Hogan, LOD, Bossman Piper, Jake, Duggan, Taker, Slaughter, and Flair on the poster.
Yeah.
Not as good as the 91 poster.
Oh.
But it's pretty good.
Yeah.
The 01 poster, though, is better than the 92 poster. Austin, Rock, Angle, Triple H, and everybody on there. So let's just explain before we get into the show the whole thing with the Rumble match. So this was the first Rumble match where something was at stake.
Yeah.
So Hogan and Undertaker wrestled at Survivor Series. Undertaker won the belt with controversial fashion because Flair had like a chair and Taker used it to like knock Hogan out with the tombstone and everything.
Oh yeah.
And then it set up this Tuesday in Texas, where Hogan won the belt back in controversial fashion, and Jack Tunney was like, F this, and he just held the title up for the Rumble match. So this was a big deal. Like, whoever wins this Royal Rumble is going to be the new WWF champ.
Yes.
Singles match for the dark match. Conan Chris Walker defeated the Brooklyn Brawler by DQ. And I believe that's Conan Chris Walker from Global.
Okay, not the other famous Conan.
No. Oh my God, we forgot about Conan. My favorite Observer Live Iata moment, Dave going,
Oh my God, we haven't talked about Conan.
All right, so tag team opener of this show, we have the Orient Express back in the curtain jerker. But we got the new foundation of Jim Neidhart and Owen Hart winning this one.
Yes. Which we kind of talked about in the first episode of this hopefully ongoing series. It was just a fantastic match, like more so on the part of Owen because Jim was just there, and I mean, and we also kind of saw that like from their match last year, if Orient Express can at least go and do things and be productive in the ring. So it was just amazing to see what Owen Hart can do in the ring. Like, I kind of agree that a lot of people who have said that. I think that people say that Owen was the better worker of him and Brett. And of course, wearing the crazy parachute pants, and you're getting Jim to wear those crazy parachute pants too before getting into the tag team with Coco Beware with High Energy. So,
all right, so this was supposed to be the Mountie against Bret Hart for the Intercontinental title, but Dane, Bret Hart lost the Intercontinental title 2 days earlier to the Mountie at a house show. And Bret had 100-degree fever. Which is speak for Bret was trying to go to WCW at this time, so they had to hold the belts and give it to Mountie.
Yeah.
And so Roddy's the replacement for this match. And this was a great moment because it's like everyone's going nuts for Piper, and it's like Piper gives the sleeper to the Mountie.
Yeah.
And he wins the Intercontinental title, and the crowd just goes absolutely nuts because this is the first gold that he's ever won in the company.
Yeah.
After like 8 years. And I think it's even more important because there's the whole thing of Piper's in the Rumble match.
Yes, and he's got now to win the world title as well too.
Yeah, so he's trying to become the first person to win both the Intercontinental and the world title in the same night.
Yeah.
Which is a great storyline going this match in the Rumble,
Yes.
but
Yep.
A great moment, and it also sets up later WrestleMania 8 when Bret comes back.
Yes, it does.
And then we get into
Ugh, yes.
the Beverly Brothers against the Bushwhackers. So, okay, I'm trying to think. Why was Jameson involved in this?
If I kind of remember, I don't know. I kind of remembered that for whatever reason, the Genius and the Beverly Brothers were picking on Jameson a lot, and the Bushwhackers decided to help him try and stand up. But God, yeah, like I said, we talked about that last time, and
There was so much stalling, and everyone was going, "Ah!"
then Bobby Heenan just emptying out his joke book of hurling insults at Jameson and all the, will you stop? Will you be serious?
So let me read Scott's review of this.
Well, this should be good.
Shit happens, and we'll just pretend that an actual match happened here and move on with our lives.
That's probably the most succinct summary I can hear of that match. But to see the Bushwhackers go from kind of having a decentish match with the Rougeaus in '90 to this horse shit. I mean, like,
Oh, yeah. This isn't quite the Fantastics back in NWA and Crockett, where Dave will give him a 5-star match for a double DQ match that ends in 8 minutes.
Yeah.
That's still wild. Like, he gave, like, Bushwhackers and the Fantastics 5 stars in a match that ended in a double DQ. Must have been very good.
yeah, must have been one wild double DQ that led to that.
All right. LOD against the Disasters for the title. So LOD's had the belt since like SummerSlam.
Yeah.
And let's see, this ends in a disqualification or no, count out.
Countouts. And the Disasters dumb foolishly think they've won the titles, but
Yeah, it's like apparently they don't know the rules of wrestling. Just stupid.
Yeah.
Then Jimmy screws the Disasters when Money Inc. gets the belts.
Yeah.
And then the Disasters
It's around
turn
that-
faced.
yeah, I think around that time then too. I think that's when get which one, Hawk or I forget. Was it? One of them got busted for like drug possession charge or something like that, and which is why they kind of sat out Mania 8 and had that promo there where they brought back Paul Ellering as their manager.
Oh yeah, that was a great segment. But then they just kill him with Rocco.
Yeah, and then of course they'll come back about 6 years later and get killed with being stuck with draws and suicidal Hawk.
Oh, but then we get Mr.com Paul Ellering out of that.
Still hoping out for if Paul Ellering is still kicking around right now. I'm hoping that we get some kind of final testament NFTs or crypto or something.
Mr.com NFTs.
Yes.
It is the era of the NFT.
It's the era of crypto, Joel Tessitore.
Oh, that'd be so great. All right, now we get into the Royal Rumble match for the WWF title. And then Howard Finkel introduces Jack Tunney. And boy, this crowd in Albany at the Knickerbocker Arena, they're just booing the hell out of Jack Tunney.
Well, when you think about it, he's really kind of bungled a lot lately because, I mean, first of all, which we'll kind of talk maybe about when we get to their spots there. I mean, you've had back in November there, you had Jake Roberts attacking Savage with a live Cobra.
Oh, yeah. And then Jack was like, from here on out, the King Cobra and all other reptiles are banned from ringside.
Which I think, thankfully, by that time, Ricky Steamboat was gone again.
Oh, yeah.
He was running the gimmick.
Yeah, so then he went to WCW. Yo, Ricky probably thought, F this, I'll just go into WCW and I'll just be Dustin's tag team partner.
So yeah, I can kind of see why people kind of turned on Tunney. Bit.
My favorite is Bobby saying, best president since Noriega.
Will you be serious?
Okay, so we start with Bulldog. And this is where Gorilla mentions the Battle Royal in England at Royal Albert Hall. And then we have Ted at 2. And so Bulldog eliminates DiBiase. And then the buzzer sounds as Ted's walking off. And then you see Ric Flair. And then this is where the fun begins, where Bobby's like, damn it! Then Gorilla goes, oh, you can kiss it goodbye, Brain.
No one within the first half have ever won the Rumble from this position.
I think it's Gorilla says nobody in the history of the Rumble who has been 1 through 5 has gone at the end.
Yep.
So that's something to keep in mind. So then we get Sags at 4, Haku at 5, and then Shawn at 6. And now, Dave,
yes.
this
we
was
need to talk about.
Yeah, this was right after Marty Jannetty cowardly jumped through the barbershop window.
Yeah. Just to run away from Shawn Michaels. Because he couldn't face him anymore.
Yeah.
And plus we also had I think just before the Rumble itself, we had like a backstage interview with Sean Mooney where he's talking to Shawn Michaels, and we got like, well, Marty, you know what? You should be thankful I beat you up because I saved you from 29 more beatings. Well, they wouldn't have been as bad as mine, but 29 beatings nonetheless.
But then, of course, after this, we get the classic thing where, like, Bobby will go, oh, I've just been handed a note. Shawn Michaels has left the building. And my favorite moment is, like, out at an MSG Network house show from, like, the Garden, like, I want to say March of 92. Finkel going, I've just been informed that Shawn Michaels has left the building, and Gorilla yelling, who cares? And then 7, we have Tito. And I think they eliminate each other.
I think so.
Yeah, because it says Shawn eliminates Tito and Tito eliminates Shawn. So I'm guessing they both went over the top rope together.
Yes.
So 8, we have Barbarian, but 9. This is where, like, I think it's like the whole theme is like, okay, if you know, you know. We're not going to acknowledge it, but you know the history between these two.
Yes.
Texas Tornado, Kerry Von Erich.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, the crowd's going nuts for this.
Yeah.
Because I think there's people that, like, if you're smart enough to wrestle, you know about, like, the Texas Stadium match.
Yes, you do.
Number 10, Repo Man. Valentine at 11, and I think Gorilla mentions that he had the record for... No, I think he does mention that Hammer went 40 minutes, but I think when Mortel comes, he mentions that he has the record for longevity at this point.
Yeah.
So number 12, we have Nikolai, and I think Gorilla mentions, well, there's times right now in Russia have been really tough, so it'd be like a real good boost if Nikolai wins the title, because this was right after the Soviet Union broke up.
Yeah, exactly. He's just tired as fuck, though, too, that he just...
Oh, yeah. No wonder Ted buys him, like...
Well, yeah, well, he was found... But that didn't help him too much, because I think then... Wasn't he found, like, living in a box or something on one of the first 2 episodes of Shotgun Saturday Night?
Oh, yeah, I think so. So then we have Bossman at 13. We have Hercules at 14. And then I think this is where, like, I think it's down to Flair and Boss Man.
Yeah.
And like Boss Man's like botches something, and I think he has to like push himself over the top rope or something.
Yeah.
And so Bobby's like, "That's it, Flair has won it." It's like there's like more people to come. And right as he's saying that, Flair just does his traditional Flair flop.
Flair flop, yep.
And so the countdown's going. 5, 4, 3, 2, and then it's Roddy, and like the whole crowd's going nuts.
Which there again too, if you know, you know.
Yeah, but also remember Piper and Flair had that feud when Flair came in.
Yes. I scare Flair.
And then Jake comes in at 16, and I love this. This is like when Piper's like beating Flair, and Jake's like sitting in the corner. And
Yeah,
this is like in the middle of the whole trust me thing. He's like,
"Yep,
hey, go ahead, Roddy, go ahead.
Go on, beat him up. I'll wait for you to, and I'll pick the bones after.
Trust me."
Just be."
And then we have Duggan at 17, IRS at 28, Snuka at 19, Taker at 20. Oh my God. Okay, so Savage at 21. So Jake is eliminated by Savage. And then Savage
Tosses himself out to go after Jake.
but then Undertaker like grabs him and puts him back into the match.
Yeah.
I think Savage wasn't supposed to do that.
No, I don't. I think he was just on autopilot and didn't realize that, and which is probably the second dumbest thing he's done in the Rumble. The main dumbest thing he ever did was try and pin Yokozuna in the next year's Rumble. After getting him down, he hits him with the diving elbow and pins him, but then Yoko just tosses him right over the ring.
Yeah, that whole thing made no sense. Like, how did Yokozuna pushing him, like, carry him over the top rope? It just did not make any sense.
Defied all logic, but
that's wrestling for you.
Yeah.
Berserker at 22. Virgil at 23. Oh, Colonel Mustafa Cheeky Baby at 24.
Oh, cheeky.
Yeah, we're not supposed to acknowledge he's a former WWF champion. We're not supposed to mention he's Iranian either.
Iranian cosplaying as an Iraqi soldier. Or Iraqi colonel for that matter.
Martel at 25. Hogan at 26. Scooter at 27. Slaughter at 28. Sid at 29. And Warlord at 30. So, okay, let's get into the final four. So, let's see. It is Hogan, Savage, Sid, and Flair.
Yeah.
So, Sid eliminates Savage.
Mm-hmm.
Flair and Hogan are fighting.
Yeah.
And just Sid's like watching it like, F this. And he just throws Hogan over the top rope.
Much to the delight of the crowd. I know people are talking right now that Cody Rhodes is probably the worst friend. Freaking Hogan's like probably the worst crybaby baby face ever, because 89 he tosses Savage out. And then they get into 90, he tosses Warrior. I don't think they were quite friends, but tosses Warrior out. 91, he tossed Tugboat out.
Oh, that's true. No wonder he becomes Typhoon.
Or as you also have mentioned, as we talked about before, I'm surprised that we didn't get Sheik Tugboat out of that.
Oh, you know what? We didn't mention Sheik Tugboat. Okay, let's explain Sheik Tugboat, okay? So this is according to Bruce Pritchard, okay? So take this with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
But the original idea, the original money idea Vince had, during the whole thing with the Iraq War and everything was to have Tugboat become Chic Tugboat. And Vince's reasoning was, oh, they'll believe it when he turns on the Hulkster.
Oh yeah, because that seemed to be a recurring theme in Hogan's career. All his friends eventually turn on him because you had Orndorff turn on him, you had Andre turn on him, you've had Savage turn on him.
You know what? Now that there's like a retro Tugboat figure from Mattel, we should just put a turban on Tugboat. He can just become Chic Tugboat.
Yeah. Hopefully some toy modders out there will do that.
So yes, Hogan is so upset that Sid did this.
Yeah.
So what does he do? He grabs onto like Sid's hand.
Sid's hands and tries to pull him out, and Flair like, okay, fine, now.
Dumps him out. Bobby's like, yes, 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 he did it.
He did. I told.
And oh my God, this is just.
It was like that whole match is just a masterclass of commentary from Bobby Heenan. I think he definitely made it. Like even we've like I like the one part there, like when Piper is helping out take someone off Flair's like, oh, Heenan's like, oh, thank God for you, Piper. Thank God. I've always said it wasn't a skirt, it's a kilt. And then Piper then like smacks Flair like, you skirt wearing freak. I always said it was a skirt, not a kilt.
My favorite part is like when Barbarian's fighting Flair's girls like, Barbarian doesn't like Flair. And Bobby's like, Barbarian doesn't like anyone. But I mentioned him, he didn't like me either. Why do you think they call him the Barbarian? He's not a hairdresser on his day off,
Yeah. The unfortunate thing, like we didn't get too much of Flair celebration in the ring because, of course, we have to have all attention on the poor Hogan.
Yeah.
Sid get into a big row, and we get all the backstage people. We get like Pat Patterson and Tony Garea, and
I think we get Renee.
Renee Goulet is also known as Warzo Gummidge, if you're an old school wrestling video pop listener.
He looks nothing like John Pertwee, let's be honest.
Well, maybe in that show he kind of did, but
I just want to imagine Renee Goulet is the third Doctor. Like, can you just picture it?
Yeah.
All right, now
as long as is he also going to wear that same black glove? That's one thing also I remember too about Renee Goulet was like when Taker stuffed Ultimate Warrior in the casket there and locked him, and then you have like
yeah, they had to get the gloves and everything.
Got the gloves, and he's like
to open the casket to get Warrior out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But thank God we at least had probably one of my favorites. Like once they kind of get Hogan and Sid separated, and then we got like probably one of my favorite audible Sid lines, just with his big Arkansasian accent. I'll kill you.
I'll kill you.
But then at least we get the much more deserved post-match celebration at the end there with Tunney presenting the world title to Flair, and then you got Bobby Heenan and Mr. Perfect there. Just, we're not the kind of guys who said we told you so, but we told you so.
Yeah, with a tear in my eye. This is the greatest moment of my life. And then, of course, Gene saying the immortal line, put that cigarette out.
I've always wondered who was smoking then. That was.
Yeah, why was Gene so pissed?
Yeah.
But yeah, Ric Flair wins the 1992 Royal Rumble as the new WWF champ going into WrestleMania 8. And you know what? maybe that'll be something we'll cover down the line too.
Yes. 'Cause I think with myself, like maybe not necessarily for the podcast here, but I know for myself, I might be doing like during Lent, I'm probably gonna do a Mania Day kind of thing where I'm gonna watch at least one WrestleMania there on, since we got the whole getting the boodle on Netflix here in Canada, so it'd be interesting to kind of go back and see all the early classics and kind of dread the dire ones. Like, I'm not looking forward to the Rock's return there from whatever it was, 26 through 29.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we did get, I think the 2 Cena matches are good, but it's like the lead up to those 2 matches is like so painful.
Mhm.
Like the lead up to last year's WrestleMania was painful with Rock.
Yes.
It was like people were like gushing about, the promos, right? I'm like, this is going on forever. This is like terrible. It's like, when is this gonna end?
When is Cody gonna finish his story?
Yeah, it's like, look, we all know you're winning night 1. We just want to see Cody win night 2. We don't care, Dwayne. We don't care about, all this crap you're talking. Oh, I'm going to curse 50,000 times in one promo.
Yes, and then I'll undo all a year's worth of more building up story by just turning into a nice guy a year later.
I'm guessing it's probably because Dwayne is probably thinking, oh, this might not be a good idea since I got the live action Moana movie coming soon.
Oh yeah, like, I mean, you want to make sure that he's not.
Yeah, I think.
You don't want live action Maui. I mean, it's bad enough that Becky and Seth's daughter was asking already why Daddy's fighting with Maui.
Yeah, I think Mr. Iger said to Dwayne, yeah, that doesn't work for us, for our stock brother. But that is the first 5 WWF Royal Rumble. So I have to say, 88 through 92 solid. I have the Royal Rumble Volume 1 anthology set. I had them all. I ripped them all. I have them on my Plex server, so I can watch them whenever.
Mm-hmm.
So it's great. And I'll just put the 92 Rumble match on, and I'll just be entertained by Gorilla and Bobby for an hour and just.
Oh yeah, that's definitely one to. I remembered, like, for when I first started getting into, bought like my first DVD player and started getting into DVDs. The Ric Flair collection was one of the first few DVDs I bought, and that was the first match I went to, and right away was that one.
That DVD set could be an episode 2. That whole DVD set. Because I think you got like the Clash 89 match with Steamboat on there and the Wrestle War match. And I think you got that worldwide match with Wyndham where they went an hour.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll have to look at it again, see which matches are on that one again.
All right, so that is episode 1 of. I keep forgetting what we called this podcast earlier.
I think we were calling the Squared Circle Time Machine.
Okay, the Squared Circle Time Machine. That's the name of the podcast. Okay, so I'm trying to think for episode 2. All right. Episode 2, I definitely want to do, like, I want to switch it up. I want to do, like, something, like, either from WCW or TNA. So I'm trying to think. Oh, I have an idea. Because it's on YouTube. It's on the TNA YouTube channel. The first ever TNA weekly pay-per-view.
Oh, yes. Yes, that would be the debut.
Yes. There's a lot of things that happen on that first TNA pay-per-view. Some that just come and go. Some stay, some go. There's some like familiar names and such, and it's just it's like a hodgepodge. It's like they didn't understand what they had yet. It was just like, let's get all the WCW cast-offs, let's get the ECW cast-offs, let's have some people from the indie scene like around like Memphis and other places or whatever, and just put the NWA name on it, and here we go. That'll be episode 2.
That sounds like a plan.
All right. So, for the premiere episode of the Square Circle Time Machine, I'm Greg, and that was Dane.
Yep.
And we will see you with episode 2 of the Squared Circle Time Machine. Take care, everybody.
All right, by virtue of winning the Royal Rumble, we have a brand new World Wrestling Federation champion as the press watches on. At this time, to present the title belt to the new champion, our president, the distinguished Jack Tunney.
Congratulations, Ric Flair, on becoming the undisputed champion of the World Wrestling Federation.
Let me just say, after viewing distorting the belt, to proclaim me the real world champion, I'm going to tell you all, with a tear in my eye, this is the greatest moment in my life. When you walk around this world and you tell everybody you're number one, the only way you get to stay number one is to be number one. And this is the only title in the wrestling world that makes you number one. When you are the king of the WWE, you rule the world. Think about it like that, Mr. Perfect.
Guys,
the
are on up
brave.
the wagon.
Woo! Woo! Let's give a big one. Woo! You did it. I was never so impressed with anything I've ever seen in all my life. He went out there for over 60 minutes, never took a back step, took it to Hogan, took it to The Undertaker, took it to whoever got in that ring. That's why he is,
Hey,
and
Bobby,
you can call him now, the real world heavyweight champion.
We're not the kind of guys to say, we told you so, but we told you so.
Okay, very good. Ric Flair, you have made put that cigarette out. You have made World Wrestling Federation history here tonight.
It's the greatest moment of my life. I want to jump. I want to party. But I got to tell you like this. For the Hulk Hogans and the Macho Mans and the Pipers and the Sids, now it's Ric Flair. And y'all pay homage to the man. Woo! I love it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps it up. We hope you have enjoyed your Royal Rumble.
And